Hello, and welcome back to Stitches and Stories Studio, where we take you from first draft to first reader. I'm Millie, your host. I'm an author and indie publisher under the pen names of Melissa L. Story and Lynn Story. This is episode 11, and today I want to spend some time talking about Draft2Digital. But before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to talk a little bit about what's happening in the indie space right now. Draft2Digital recently partnered with bookshop.org, which means indie authors using D2D have one more path to readers through a platform that also supports independent bookstores. I think all of us find that very important. I know I do. And I think it's worth paying attention to because it reminds us that Draft2Digital is doing more than just helping authors upload books. It's part of a bigger ecosystem. And if you're not familiar with bookshop.org itself, it is an ebook platform or an ebook retailer that also supports local bookstores through its platform and apps. So you get the best of both worlds. You get indie online publishing and support from Draft2Digital, but you're also supporting your local bookstore. And with that in mind, let's talk a little bit more about Draft2Digital, what it does well, and why so many authors love to use it. This week's episode is not a comparison episode. I'm not going to put Draft2Digital side by side with anyone else. What I want to do instead is look at what it offers indie authors, why so many writers find it useful, and why it covers more ground than people actually realize. I'd also like to remind you that I am not an affiliate of Draft2Digital. I'm sharing this information because I truly believe it's useful, and it is a program that I use myself, so I feel I can speak to it with some authority. What is Draft2Digital? At its core, D2D is a self-publishing platform built to help authors format books, distribute them to multiple storefronts and library channels, manage pricing, create print editions, track sales, all from one central dashboard. And I think that flexibility matters. Because indie publishing gets overwhelming very quickly when every piece of the process lives somewhere else. You write here, edit there, format somewhere else, upload here, track there, and then build links in the fourth corner of the internet you forgot even existed. And at a certain point, it starts to feel like you've become the office manager of your own publishing chaos. D2D tries to reduce some of that sprawl and friction, and for indie authors who are building slowly, one book at a time, and very intentionally, this can be a real advantage for you. Let's start with the formatting. One of the first things that people associate with Draft2Digital is its awesome formatting tools. You can upload a manuscript file such as Word, and the platform will create a professionally formatted EPUB, generate a table of contents, add page breaks between the chapters, and build automated back matter such as about the author and teaser pages. Now let me pause here and say something important. Formatting is one of those things that people underestimate right up until the time they try to do it themselves. And in theory, formatting sounds like it would be the easy part. You've written the book, surely making it look like a book would be simple, right? But suddenly you're in a cage match with fonts, spacing, headers, chapter breaks, mysterious blank pages that keep showing up, and one stubborn paragraph that has definitely unionized. So there's real value in the Draft2Digital formatting files. It helps to remove the technical friction for authors who want to keep the book looking polished and professional without having to become some interior layout expert overnight. And I say this from personal experience. This is especially useful for the newer authors or if you're budget conscious. And honestly, for any author who'd rather spend their time writing their next book rather than hand-to-hand combat with page settings. The dashboard and the multiple storefronts are amazing. It gives authors one place to manage your descriptions, your pricing, your metadata, the retailer settings across multiple storefronts and library partners. And this is where I think Draft2Digital really becomes more than just a distributor. And yes, distribution matters, of course it does. but the real appeal is in the centralization. This may not sound glamorous, but in a practical way, this is one of the best parts, because every repeated task costs attention, every extra dashboard costs energy, and every duplicated, updated cost, and every forgotten checkbox causes irritation and time. And when you're balancing writing, publishing, promotion, probably a day job or family responsibilities, anything that can help make your life easier as an author is definitely worth it. It supports wide thinking. I also think D2D is useful because it encourages a wider way of thinking about your publishing career. Going wide can sound empowering in theory, but it can be chaotic in process. Wide sounds wonderful until you're the one trying to keep track of the details, and then suddenly it feels less like a strategy and more like 12 tiny metadata gremlins have just entered into your life. So D2D helps make this idea more manageable. It's not effortless, let's stay humble, but it is manageable. Sometimes that's all you need, and it can make a huge difference in how much you enjoy the process. Another important part of the conversation is print. Now, authors can set up print editions, generate a wraparound print cover from your ebook cover, order proofs and author copies, and distribute print through available print channels. And I think this is one of those areas where indie authors sometimes sell themselves short. A lot of people start with an ebook, and that makes perfect sense. They're simple and they're a low entry point. But having a paperback matters too. It matters if you want to have events or signings, if you're doing direct sales. It matters for credibility. And there are a lot of readers who still prefer print. It's an emotional feeling holding a book in your hands, and particularly if it's your own book. I mean, there's nothing like getting a box of your own books in the mail and just holding it and smelling it, because we all know those books have, everyone loves the smell of a book, right? I know I do anyway. Now, another part of running your own publishing business for your book is sales reporting. And if you're doing multiple platforms, this can get out of control real quick and feel overwhelming. So one of the less flashy things is the reporting. I mean, not everybody likes spreadsheets. So authors can see which storefronts are selling their books, how many units are being sold, the projected royalties, and charts that can help track performance over time. And this is one of those features that sounds really boring until you actually need it. And I'm thinking tax time. Then suddenly it's not boring at all. Because once you start publishing seriously, you're going to want to know what's working. Did that newsletter mention move any copies? Did the promo do anything for you? Is one retailer outperforming another? Did that price change help? That kind of information helps you make decisions on patterns instead of vibes. And while vibes are absolutely have a place in your creative life, it's a risky business model. You don't want to make decisions based on vibes. You want to have some hard data to help back you up because you want to make real money. So the sales reporting gives you the feedback that helps you make better choices, and better choices gives you a better and stronger publishing business over time. It's not glamorous, but it's definitely valuable. And leading into that is the pricing, promotion, and the practical marketing that goes into all of that. Now, D2D includes some very useful tools on the marketing side as well. Authors can set prices, including free prices for ebooks, use the promotional tools for scheduled price promotions, free promotions, sales, and universal book links. And I think this is such an important shift for indie authors to understand. Marketing is not only ads. It's not just your social media. It's not just launch graphics and jazz hands. Sometimes marketing is making your book easier to discover. Sometimes it's making your pricing more intentional. It's using the right links, setting up the back matter correctly so a happy reader knows where to buy your next book. Marketing is real, and your book is your best marketing tool. Now, D2D leans into this practical side. It's not trying to be your publicist, but it does provide actionable tools that help support discoverability, convenience, and reader follow-through. And from the business standpoint, D2D is appealing because it does not charge upfront fees just to get started. For ebooks, they say they take about 10% of the list price, so please consider pricing your books accordingly, while most retailers will take 30%. So this leaves your author with roughly 60%. And for collaborative projects, they also have a built-in payment splitting, which is a very nice feature if you're a co-writer, contributor to anthologies, or working on box sets with others, because this means everyone gets paid according to the agreed upon percentage without someone in the group having to play accountant forever. And this also brings me to books to read, which I think is one of the strongest parts of the D2D ecosystem. It includes universal book links, author pages, and book tabs, and the release notifications, which gets back into that discoverability I was talking about. So one of the more annoying little problems in indie publishing is the link problem. You want your readers to know that your book's available everywhere. You buy books online, and that's wonderful. I love that for us. But what do you do with that information? Are you going to paste 10 different retail links into every newsletter or social post? I mean, that's getting to a whole part-time career as a hyperlink wrangler, and I don't know about you, but I don't have time for that. So the universal book link is so amazing and just simplifies everything. You get one link, it's cleaner promotion, less confusion for readers, less work for you. It's the kind of practical tool that you can really appreciate. And then there's the other feature that's worth mentioning is the new release notifications, which I love. I love this. Again, it works hand in hand with my other 2 newsletters. If you're a reader and you've just finished a book, you always want to look for, where can I find the next book? How am I going to find out when the next book comes out? Because life gets busy, it gets crazy. People get distracted by, other responsibilities and shiny objects, and we don't want them forgetting about your book. So having a automated message or notification to that reader once they sign up to let them know, hey, you've got a new book coming out, that puts your name back in front of them again, and to me, that's just huge. One of the other things that I hear a lot about in talking to writers who are just beginning their journey is the confusion over ISBNs, and it can be a little confusing at first to understand why we need them and where to get them. In the United States, the only place you can get an ISBN for you to use is through Bowker. That's BOWKER. And they can be expensive. Depending, you can buy one at a time or you can buy them in bulk. I usually try to buy them like 10 at a time because you need an ISBN for every version of your book. So if you have one book, let's call it My Story, you need an ISBN for the print, the audio, and the ebook, and any other editions of it that might be out there. So that's 3 off the bat. For every title that you write, you need 3 ISBNs. This gets expensive, folks. So, it's like, I think it's $245 for 10. So, with the cost of other things that you're paying for, this can add up quickly. So taking advantage of the free ISBNs that are offered by Draft2Digital is huge. The other thing about their agreement or they're offering you their ISBNs is that you retain all rights to your work. And that might sound like, well, yeah, Millie, of course you would retain your rights. It's your work. That's not always the case. There are some of these publishing houses that you pay up front to publish your book, and part of the package deal that you're paying for is that you get free ISBN. But you have to read those contracts and those fine prints carefully because sometimes you're giving up some publishing rights. And not always, but sometimes you do. And so you want to be very careful. You don't want to suddenly find out that, because they published your book and they put it on some platforms for you, that you can't now publish it anywhere else, including your own website, if you have one. So and this is a real advantage to Draft2Digital. You do not give up any of your publishing rights to your book by using their free ISBN. A couple of other thoughts I have on the subject of free ISBNs and other publishing houses is that never pay somebody to publish your book. It's tempting. It seems like an easy way to kind of cut through all the minutia of getting published, but and there are some legitimate houses out there that will take your money and publish the book, but there's a lot of scams out there in the world, as you know, and so you don't want to hand over your manuscript and $1,500 to somebody and get nothing for it. So I would caution you, unless you have a really strong working relationship with a small press, I would be very careful about handing over my hard work and my money to someone on the promise that they're going to publish my book. Again, going back to the contracts, read them carefully, regardless of what you're signing a contract for, whether it be free ISBNs or anything else. Just be very careful when you're signing away your work, all the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that you put into this. Be very careful about who you give it away to. So, I'm not saying don't participate or sign contracts for different things. Just make sure you read them very carefully. You don't want to get taken advantage of, and it's so easy to do in these day and age because the scammers are getting really slick, and you just have to be vigilant and protect your work and protect yourself. So, speaking of costs, the cost structure is part of the appeal, I think, with D2D. It's a pay-as-you-earn model. Again, no upfront charges for the core formatting, conversion, distribution, sales, tracking, ebook updates are always free. So that kind of a structure is very attractive to indie authors for obvious reasons. It lowers the risk. It makes experimentation easier if you want to switch out a cover on an ebook, if you think one is performing better than another. And it allows authors to get started from where they are. And when you're building a catalog one book at a time, that can be a huge difference. You don't want to be in the business of running a giant publishing machine. You can start small, learn the system, and then grow into it. Who do I think Draft2Digital is best for? Authors at any stage. It's especially useful for indies who want a more streamlined path from a finished manuscript to published product. It's good for the author who wants help with formatting, a simpler way to reach multiple retailers, someone who wants access to paperback options, better link management, reporting without building spreadsheets from scratch, and those who are thinking in terms of systems instead of one-off projects. And that's the big shift. D2D is not only about helping you upload your book, they're great at that, but they're helping you build your publishing infrastructure. And that doesn't sound sexy or glamorous, but it's what keeps the lights on. Because infrastructure in real life what are they? Your streets, your water lines to your home, your street lights, the power grid, all those things that are needed to keep cities and neighborhoods running. Well, D2D is your infrastructure to keep your business, your author business running. They make your book available and discoverable and easier to manage over time. Now, I also think it's fair to be realistic. D2D can help you format, distribute, manage, link, report, and have promotional processes for your books, but it still can't write the book for you. It doesn't replace a strong cover. It doesn't magically create the audience for you, but it does remove a lot of barriers to get to those spots. I mean, there's no magic bullet. No platform can promise you all of those things and actually deliver on them. So it's not your entire business, but it can be a huge piece of that business. And sometimes the best tools aren't the ones that promise magic. They're just the ones who quietly get the work done in the background. And I can tell you, I'm published wide. My books are available anywhere you buy books online. And I use Draft2Digital for my universal book links. Those universal links help with promotions in BookFunnel that we've talked about before. And I can do another episode on that if there's questions on how to get that set up and how you can market your books there, not only as a newsletter builder but also for sales. That universal book link really comes in handy. So I use Draft2Digital for publishing wide. There are only 2 other sites that I publish directly on, and that's I publish directly on Amazon, and I use their free ISBN numbers. I publish on Kobo, where I use my ISBN number, and then I publish on Draft2Digital. And I tend to use my ISBN number if I have one there, but I only use it for the print books. I will use a free ISBN for ebooks on all the platforms, but for print, I will pay for and use my own ISBN. And that's works for me right now. So those are the only 3 places I publish my books, and my books are so far have been downloaded in 52 countries. So they're on literally every place you buy books online, and that includes where you can buy print books online. So it's Barnes & Noble, it's Amazon, it's Gardner's, it's all these places. So, and at tax time, just think about this, at tax time, I only have 3 places I have to worry about a 1099 from. And I'm not a tax consultant, I'm not giving tax advice, I'm just saying simpler is better sometimes. So overall, I think D2D is worth serious attention from indie authors, especially those who are on their first leg of their journey. It's very practical. It gives you very functional options. It's simple to use. It gives you the wide distribution. It gives you the universal book links. It's a very low barrier for entry. It doesn't cost you anything to get started. And it's got an amazing publishing portal. It includes Smashwords. If you've been around a while, and you as a reader even, you may be familiar with Smashwords, and they do, I think, a promotion a couple times a year, something like that, big promotions. So that I always participate in. It's really an amazing operational hub, and you can have a very manageable system based on the platform here. So I again highly encourage you to take a look, see what you think, see if it fits your style, see if it fits your business model. And I thank you for joining me for episode 11. I've had a great time talking with you today, and I hope you've gotten something from this episode, and that you'll go take a look at some of those tools that we talked about. If you want to reach out, if you have any questions, want to have a conversation, you can always email me at Millie, MILLY, at stitchesandstories.com. You can find me as Melissa L. Story, and Melissa is spelled MILISSA, on socials, Instagram, X, Facebook, Substack, especially if you're into science fiction. My science fiction newsletter is on Substack. You can visit my website, which is stitchesandstories.com. You can download a free short story there and sign up for my general newsletter there. It's not genre specific there because I do write across genres. So just reach out. We can have a conversation. If you've got any questions, leave a comment on any of those social sites, or like I said, give me an email. And if you would like to support the podcast for a few bucks a month, you can do that through buymeacupofcoffee.com and look for Melissa L. Story, and then on Substack, which is also under Melissa L. Story. So keep writing and keep telling those great stories, and I'll see you next week.